Hello and welcome to the Rites of Passage for 1984 Deathly Hallows. With me, I have our final three of Crispy, Eric, and Jeremy. The three of them have done what the other 15, 14 house guests were unable to do and have made it to the end game. So tonight, we're going to scroll through some memories of the season, talk about the fallen house guests. So the first person we're talking about tonight will be Miss Jazzy. So I will let the final three take over.
Also, while we talk, you sound like a fucking robot right now, so you should
Literally.
try to
we
fix
love
that.
Okay.
I'm glad it wasn't just
With
me.
peace and love. So Jazzy.
Jazzy.
You were the HOH that sent her out.
Yeah, listen, I love Jazzy. I had a couple of chats with Jazzy both before and after I nominated her, and I've also actually played a game with Jazzy before. She was kind of inactive and ended up going home just as collateral damage because my alliance member was on the block next to her. But I don't know. I was excited to see her in this game because I was hoping that she might turn up her activity level, and then she really didn't until after she was already nominated. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, but I like everybody here, and I don't want to make too many enemies, and you seem really nice, and I don't think you'd be that mad at me if I put you out. And we haven't really talked that much. So she's lovely. I love the moments that I got to hang out with her on the Zoom and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't talk to her a whole heck of a lot. I chatted with her here and there a little bit, but I feel like her, and maybe this might be the case for a lot of people, but I feel like her personality just really came through more so on the calls, and I wished she was able to kind of translate that through a regular text conversation. I don't know if that's an unfair thing to say, but yeah, and I felt so bad voting her out then when she just got first boot in BB Disney 2. But it was what more can you do,
Yeah, it was also Jill was really, really stepping up her game and talking to people when she was on the block.
Jazzy.
Yeah, Jazzy was on the Zoom calls. She was.
Yeah.
But I don't remember her saying or doing much on them. Maybe I just didn't stay on them long enough.
There was a couple. There was one specifically, I think it might have been after she joined late the night that I won HOH. And then that night she was on for probably a solid 2.5 hours of just chilling on the Zoom call and hanging out with people. And it was really nice. She made the environment very positive and lovely. And I love hanging out with Jazzy. As a person.
Well, hopefully we can all chat with her a little bit more once this is done and really, just get to know her a little better because she does seem very sweet.
Yeah.
Is my voice a robot still?
No, you sound better now.
Beautiful. Okay. So next up we have Jake Stevens.
Dang.
Oh, Jake.
I can start with Jake. So Jake was one of the handful of people that I knew before coming into the game, and we had it's looking back on it, it's really funny to me because we played Paranoia together, and he went out pretty early, and that's the game that I won, and then after the blow up of everything that went on that round, and it was pretty cut and dry that Jake was gonna go, he messages me and he goes, "This might bode well for you." And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, "Well, every game that I flop in, you tend to win. So there you go." And Jake gets voted out, and I'm in the final three, and it's really, really funny to me.
Oh, but it's cute. You think you're gonna win?
I don't. But, No, it's just like it's ironic. That's what I meant. It's ironic that like that I have gone as far as I did when he said that, made that comment. It was just really funny to me. But Jake is such a sweetheart, and I really do love him. And I wish there was like a moment when people were seriously considering keeping Jake, and he just spiraled, and it was too bad.
It was so crazy too, because I remember talking to people and we were like, it feels like this is the week that the house is gonna split between Jake and Jackson. Like I really thought like that was gonna be like the wait, what?
It fully was. I feel like it 100% was going to split that week between Jackson and Jake.
Mhm.
Exactly. And then Jake just did a little too much. And then Jackson found out that Jake leaked about the J Alliance and all that stuff. And no, on a personal level, kind of like Jazzy, I love Jake. But yeah, he's still in the comments saying positive things about me, which is all I can ask for, really.
Yeah. I was really excited to play with Jake because I watched him in Ascendance Live and I thought he was really funny. And so I was like, ooh, I finally get to like actually play a game with him. And then we got into the J Alliance, and then he was on the block in round 2, and I was like, well, fuck. And then Jackson went up, and I was like, well, fuck, this isn't really good for the Alliance here, boys. And I definitely, like, I think for me, comparing specifically Jackson and Jake, Jackson had more connections that he could use to keep us protected, I thought. And I also felt like he was a little bit more active than Jake was at the time.
Mhm.
So I was definitely leaning towards Jackson staying, but I know there was also a push from the Girls Alliance to keep Jake. So if Jake hadn't blown up his own game, I think that vote had the potential to like cause the split in the house that we then saw much later in the jury phase of the game, rather than the kumbaya unanimous votes every round for the first half of the game.
But were they as unanimous as we think they were, though?
I honestly genuinely believe that at most they're like 2 off from what we were expecting them to be.
Yeah,
like people might have thrown a hinky vote or 2, but even at that, like people might have been like, well, if I'm thinking of throwing a hinky vote, what if 6 people are thinking about throwing a hinky vote and it fucks up the whole plan? So then
Right.
those hinky votes.
That's true.
Fucking Jake.
Yeah,
Even
he
though it
really
was, like,
sunk
good
his own
sport,
ship.
though.
He really sunk his own ship in that day.
He did. He handled it well, and he knew that he destroyed his own game.
I think he knows that, like, from what I've seen of him in confessionals and stuff, like, he knows that he has a tendency to spiral whenever something goes bad or his paranoia gets really bad. And so, like, I think once he started spiraling and then started hearing about him spiraling from other people, he probably knew he was fucked.
I think he did.
Yeah,
But we love him anyway.
we do.
We love a chaotic king.
Okay, so next up we have Christian.
Oh, Christian. That was my doing. I just realized that he's the only one that won one of the first 4 HOHs that isn't here right now. I don't know, when he put up Jake and Mikey, I remember being so confused because he had originally told me it was between Andrew, Jill, and Mikey. And then to hear Jake was going on the block, then Jackson, I was like, I literally, like, I don't know. On a personal level, I felt okay with Christian, but I also didn't really trust the reasoning that he was giving, that like he didn't talk to those people much. I don't know who was in his ear. I feel like somebody was, so that's why I went after him. Yeah, cool guy, I guess.
Do you want to go next, Crispy?
If you, I'm gathering my thoughts.
Okay. This is the second, I don't know. I played a couple games with Christian. And we're friends like beyond the org. So like when I won, I was like, oh, you're good this round. And so when he won, he was like, I'm paying you back for it. And then Eric nominated him, and I was like, oh, this is a good time. Because then if we start setting up a trend of like people who win power getting nominated, then it paints a target on anybody who wins. And then like it created a very strong series of events that I was like, oh, this is too good not to pursue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, we did the like, we're friends, so you're safe round 1, we're friends, so you're safe round 2. So yeah, I voted him out with peace and love. But yeah, I love him outside of this game, but I do think that it was a strong move that needed to happen early in the game to like shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, I
Make
feel
people
like
scared as well.
Mm-hmm. I feel like if Christian stuck around any longer, he would have been very dangerous. Because I followed, like, we're from the like we're a part of the same paranoia community, and like I know how fucking well he did his original season, and that was like, and I usually hate using that kind of narrative as like a reason to be wary of somebody, but like he wins the first veto and then the second HOH, and did he win veto again that time?
No.
Okay, so he won one of those two, but whatever. So it was just like,
He won veto.
yeah. Oh, right. Like as soon as he was up, it was like I really kind of, rushed to, like Jason and Casey and Buckley and being like, the time is now. Like we need to do this. But I felt like such kind of like an asshole, because while I was campaigning to like get votes put on Christian and I were playing Mario Party together, and I was just like, Christian, I'm so sorry, but I'm like, oh, nar, Cleo.
Yeah, he literally came to me and he was like, I think I'm getting the votes. Like, I know that I have you and Michael, and I think I have like blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh. And then Michael messaged me and was like, I don't think Christian has the votes. And I was like, oh. So then we were both like, should we just vote him out?
Yeah.
I heard that he did that a lot, where he was like, I have everyone except you. I need you. But he did that to so many different people that I was like, okay.
Yeah, he kept coming up to me and being like, I have 5 votes, and I'm just like, no, you don't. But I felt really bad, because I genuinely think that he really did believe that he had those votes. So
yeah,
that was tough, but I think like it was to the betterment for the 3 of us, truthfully.
He also just, like, I love Christian to death, but he was not, even with me, he wasn't that active in the game. So him being kind of like unpredictable, and like in round 2 just magically happened to nominate 2 people from my alliance that was formed really early in the game. Like, what else is he gonna pull that's gonna fuck up my game?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Miss Jill.
Queen.
A fucking Spitfire. Eric's number 2 fan in the Facebook group. Sorry, Jill. I felt bad about that, but that was just like another of like a case of like just doing what the house wanted, and
That and like tying up loose ends For me, at
Exactly.
least.
I commend her for the impact that she had on the short period of time in the game. Like, I just remember watching the intro videos and watching hers. I was just like, oh, she's gonna be a fucking riot. Like, she's gonna be a show. And she fucking delivered. And I'm sure that she did this with like a lot of people, but she was like sliding into my DMs and being like, I love you so much, let's be a secret duo and things like that. And like,
Yep.
no one would expect the two of us to work together. And I'm just like, sure, Jan. And then like, yeah, putting her up kind of sucked because like I did care for her, like as like oh, you're funny and I want you to make me giggle and like do tricks for me. But yeah, that was my experience with Jill. She's
doing tricks.
Yeah, on a personal level, I adore that woman. I feel like she was the realest person in this house. The fact that she was at HOH, like eating Taco Bell in her car, like I don't know.
With her
like,
boyfriend next to her, just like vibing.
literally, like she was so funny. But in the game, like even though I felt like I was close to her on a personal level in the game, she was literally fucking up every single person that was next to her, like Mikey, Lake, all these people, like Jake even.
Mhm.
So I like she was I did nominate her. She was my target as well. So no hard feelings if you see this, Joel, but I love you.
Yeah, I mean, we have that in common, I guess, because I nominated Jill week 1. But it was the same thing. Like me, her, and Jazzy were the last 3 on the call, and they were being like, "Oh, I wish one of us had won veto, because then the 3 of us, like, we could have campaigned to save the other one, and then the 3 of us could have been a secret trio for the whole game and get to the end of the game together." And I was like, uh-huh. And then Jill just like kept making messes, or there were messes that were like associated with her. I do think some of that also stemmed from Jackson's loose lips and Casey causing messes behind the scenes. But I do think that Jill also was like definitely running around making messes and spilling a lot of things to people. There was some of it that if it was true, then kind of was like, ugh. But if he was lying about is kind of towards her, but I'll talk to her about that after the season.
Oh no, I want to know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys when we're not on recording.
Okay, all right. I think if you're gonna lie in these games, I feel like you really need to stick with it. And
Yeah.
she was dying on that horse that she did not leak any girls' alliance or anything. And I applaud her for that. I'm just like, even if like she knew that her game was kind of fucked because of it, and she just kept denying.
Okay,
And
but
if I'm wrong, then that's fine. But like,
it's the way that on call with me, she would literally be like, "Yes, I told Jake about the girls' alliance, but I wasn't the one who leaked it. I only told Jake. Jake was the one who leaked it, or I only told Lake. Lake was the one who leaked it." And I'm like, Miss Thing, with peace and love, no.
No.
Love Jill.
Okay, next up we have Jason.
Oh, Jason.
I'll start with Jason because he is again another person that I knew out of the people that like I knew coming into the game. He's the one that I knew the best. He's a good friend of mine. We're on production together. I had no clue that he was even thinking about playing this game. So as soon as I saw him revealed, I was like, fuck. But you know, we tried to make something work for a little while, um and something that like I didn't want to do was just like rely on like people that I knew before coming into this. So like as soon as someone approached me, I was like, you and Jason are being clocked as a duo. It was like, I gotta cut ties with him and be like, get under the bus right there. But Jason he's such a goof, and I love that man dearly. Like he's so smart and so like, I don't know, convincing. And I know that he was going around to like everyone being like, I need to work with you. I want to work with you. Like we need to stick together in this game. But like every time that I would be talking with him, I thought it was like, I really felt like he meant it. And yeah, but he's a wonderful, wonderful person. And I'm glad that he and I were able to have an experience of being in a game together. And I'm glad that I was able to kind of talk to him like in person once like was officially out of the game and not on the jury, so I could talk to him a little bit more, I felt like. And yeah, he holds no hard feelings whatsoever, which makes me very happy. And I'm just like, I love you, Jason. So Jason, if you want this, love you, and I will see you soon.
I think it really sucks because I feel like Jason, more than anybody else in the game, was a victim of the gossip mill. I feel like everything that, like the conversations I had with him were okay, they were fine. But I feel like every single person, especially the round that he was nominated, every single person was coming to me and saying like awful things about him. And it just like not even on a game level either, just like also on a personal level. And it just sucked to hear those kinds of things. I probably won't mention what they are either. But I do think he was a good guy. In the overall scheme of the game and everything, he and I were never like, we were okay together, but I don't really know what our relationship was. Like his eviction was just kind of like, okay, that's happening. But yeah, that's kind of all I have to really say about Jason.
I really like Jason. He was one of the people that I called really, really like that first day when they added us into the main chat. He messaged me like almost immediately and was like, "We should call as soon as possible." And I was like, "Oh, hello, Jason Ronzi." And then like kept making a point of like reaching out to me and saying he wanted to work with me, but then also would kind of go MIA for a few days, which I know he explained why, so I understand now. Um, and then when the J Alliance got exposed, which was so fucking early in the game, he would like he didn't really try to like, how do I say this politely? It felt like he was trying to guilt trip me for not including him in the alliance into like making me feel bad for him into working with him then moving forward. But it kind of did the opposite, where I then was like, I don't feel like I can really trust you because it feels like you're putting on a sense of like some kind of hurt. And I don't know, maybe he genuinely did have hurt feelings about it. And like if he does, then I would love to have a conversation with him and apologize for that. But like, I don't know, it changed my perception of how he was trying to hold on to me as an ally, and it made me feel like I didn't necessarily want to work with him anymore. So then I definitely never said anything against him personally, but I was very I was quite open with people about how much of a threat Jason would be down the line and how good of a talker he was and how like he can convince people of anything and make them believe that he is telling them the God's honest truth when he's lying out of his asshole, which is a great talent for him, I guess. Um, but yeah, I love Jason. I think it was in my best interest with the context of this game to take him out when they did. So I was definitely like ready for him to go when he went.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And like there was a moment when he and I after I won the veto, and he was talking to me about like, oh great, now that you're off the block, like you can go campaign to these people and you can, and then blah blah, blah. I'm like, I love you, but it's not my job to campaign for you.
It's also like what, round 5? Like I don't want to be seen as running around campaigning for Jason,
Right.
especially if he's getting 3 or 4 people to run around campaigning for Jason. Then that means that looks like a 5-person group.
Yeah, and it was like if anyone were going to be campaigning for him, it couldn't have been me. Just because it would have painted more of, I felt like it would have painted more of a target. So it was just like I kind of had to be okay with letting him go. And that did make me sad on a personal level, but I really feel like it freed up the game for me. And yeah, and I think there was like a little like sliver of maybe some hurt feelings about the J Alliance, but knowing Jason, like he gets it's a game. He totally understands, and like it's impossible for him to like be included on every little thing ever in a game. So like,
and I also want to say, like, because I explained this to Jason, but I didn't get the chance to like explain it to anybody else. It wasn't made because all of our names were J. It was literally like Jackson came to us and was like, hey, John and Jeremy, I really like Jake. Do you think that we should make a 4? And I was like, haha, it's so funny because people were joking about a J Alliance in the main chat because there's so many of us and we all have J names. And then somebody named it the J Squad when they made it. I think it was John made it. So like it wasn't like made as a J Squad and intentionally excluding Jen and Jason or like Jazzy or anything. Like it was literally just a funny thing that I noticed about the people that were included into the group.
mm-hmm.
But anywho.
Any Hootie and the Blowfish.
Next up, we have Casey.
This was the start of
Your Slytherin era.
What?
The start of your Slytherin era.
Yeah. That round, even still, I think was probably the hardest moment of the game for me, because I have so much respect and love for Casey, and there was and like I didn't want to be known as like the HOH who only took out like non-men, and that was a really hard thing for me, just because it goes against like everything that I stand for, just like as a person, but I was well aware of things that she was doing behind the scenes that if she stayed any longer were going to be detrimental to me. So it had to happen, and I don't regret doing it, but it makes me sad because I actually do think that is gonna affect our friendship, which is too bad. But what can you do? And I mean, like, it's still, even if she wants nothing to do with me after the game, like, Casey, if you watch this, I would love to have a conversation with you when this is all done, if you want. But yeah, I just think she's so fucking funny. Like I would be on calls with her like laughing hysterically to the point where my sides would be hurting, and like it's just like she has that kind of personality to like just make you feel like so chilled and relaxed, and like yeah, she's just so fucking funny. She's very charismatic, and she plays these games like so passionately, and I don't think she deserved to like I wish she was on the jury. I do wish that, because I think she played like a really good game that is deserving of a jury spot. But that's not how it was supposed to work out this time around. But yeah, I hold her in a very, very high regard. So
honestly, if I were picking a like most robbed pre-juror award, in my opinion, it would go to Casey. Because I think prior to that live night, she was in such a good position, and she was sowing just enough seeds of chaos and not obviously enough that people were like aware that she was doing it 100% of the time, that she was basically puppeteering the beginning portion of the game from behind the scenes. And I'm like, I was technically in like 2 alliances with her. But as soon as she hit the block, I said, I think this is probably gonna have to be the moment to do it, because I don't think that there's gonna be a live night for a while, and I think live night is probably the only time to get you out. So but literally fun story, actually. She was one of the people who was in contention to go on the block in round 1, because she had not messaged me before I won HOH. She only made our one-on-one chat after I won HOH, and then started messaging me and asking to call and whatever. And then we got on call, and we were on call for like, swear to God, 15 minutes. And by the like 15 minutes when she had to get off because her break was over, I was like, don't worry, you're safe this week. Like, she was so funny and charismatic, and I just loved her energy and like don't give a fuck bitch attitude. It's so badass, and I stand her for it. I stand her for it.
God, she's so good. She's just so good.
Does anyone know how she did in the other BB game she was playing at the same time?
She got like voted out not too long after she got voted out of this one.
That's so sad. Because I was gonna say like at least it freed her up for that game, but if she got voted out pretty soon after, then that's sad.
Well, I think like Padlock had started like a few weeks before, so I think she like on paper like made it further.
Yeah.
Just the timing worked out weirdly.
But no, I kind of what everybody else has said, you guys have both said. She is very funny, very personable. It's so crazy because in a group setting, she's almost like invisible. Like, I'm sure if I were somebody watching all of the videos of all the competitions and things, I wouldn't really notice her. But on a one-on-one level, like, she's there with you no matter what she's doing. Like, there was one call where she was literally like not even on her screen. She like left to go to her kitchen and make like chocolate chip pancakes or something. And like it felt like she was still right there talking with me. No, kind of again on a personal level, I feel like we connected well enough. Okay, so I actually have a question for both of you. That's a callback to my conversation with Casey. Have you guys ever had like Granny Smith apples like kind of soaked in cinnamon?
No.
I don't like Granny Smiths.
Okay. Well, she told me that was the weirdest snack that she'd ever heard of, and it's one of my favorites. So we had like a little like disagreement there, but On a game level, I don't know if I realized at the time, but probably after, that she was like kind of the one that was running around keeping the target on Jill, because I think Jill could have fallen away and played in the background for a bit, but Casey like kept on it no matter, like, ever since Jake's eviction. And then with Jason as well, I know she was one of the starters for like trying to push him out as well, especially towards Mikey, I think. So good on her. I think she played fantastically. Obviously, she didn't go on the block until that triple eviction, but if she had survived that, I would not be surprised if she was in like top 5 or something.
Imagine if she had won the battle back instead of Michael.
Completely different game.
The game would have been like fucking earthquaked down the center.
I don't think I would be sitting here, truthfully. I really don't.
I probably wouldn't be either. I voted her out.
I'd fucking backdoor her. So.
What's funny though, when you were saying about Jason going out and her pushing for it, one of the 2 alliances that I was in with her was also with Jason. So as soon as I saw her pushing for Jason to go, I was like, oh, she doesn't give a fuck. If she thinks you're bad for her game, she's taking you out immediately. And she has so much sway. That's scary.
Can I tell a really fun? I can't remember if I've told you guys this, but I have a really funny Casey story. It's not from this game, but it just like illustrates like just how she plays. So I hosted her in Paranoia 4, and she crushed that game. Like I think she got 8th place, 7th or 8th place, but she was like villain of the season. She was in the duo of the season with winner, shout out to Katie Pasquarello, my queen. But there was one challenge, it was a scavenger hunt challenge, and like she did not want to win. Like she wanted to throw. Like she was making it known to Prod that she wanted to throw. So one of the scavenger hunt was a queen of diamonds from a deck of cards or whatever. And like there was one other person who was also trying to throw, but Casey, she's trying to find this damn deck of cards. Like who doesn't have a deck of cards in their home anywhere? But she resorted to printing out a deck of cards from her printer, like all 52 pages, and you just see like the other 2 on camera like scurrying and running around trying to find, and Katie's just sitting there with her fucking Sonic, like just like drinking it and like waiting for all of these cards to print out. And it was just so fucking funny to watch. Like it's like, oh my god, like no one else could get away with that shit, you know?
I am a little offended by the deck of cards comment, because during that round in the competition, I didn't have a deck of cards.
Oh, well.
I think, was it you?
Did, that it was Harry Potter themed, and it...
Yeah.
Look around.
Okay. So now we are going to move into the jury phase of the game. So next we have Mikey.
I love Mikey.
My enemy.
But were you even really like enemies? Like, did you like hate each other, or were you all just like going at each other because it was like the fun thing to do back and forth?
It was just circumstance. Like we were messaging each other being like, hey, like I really like you, but like sorry. It was just really funny how it worked out, because I'm like, if things like changed just like ever so slightly, I feel like Mikey and I could have been really good allies together, because I wish that he was more active in those first few rounds, because then I probably wouldn't have nominated him, because after I nominated him and we started talking more, and like while we were trying like so hard to like get each other out, is kind of when we bonded more. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was just too bad. Like I have so much respect for Mikey as a game player. Like he's so good. and just like a very lovely person. But that's just kind of like how the deck or the cookie crumbled or whatever. Yeah, I hope
you took out the other. Michael took him out for you.
Yeah, fucker. No, I never like actively was like, I need to get Mikey out. It was just like, it doesn't make sense for me to put anybody else up besides Mikey. You know, like he nominated me twice. I nominated him twice, like once or twice or a couple times, whatever. But yeah, great.
I love Mikey. We didn't have that many like calls, but whenever we chatted or whenever we were on Zoom, it was so fun. And that one night that I was on Zoom playing games and whatever, Michael joined for a little bit, and Mikey was the only other person who joined, but Mikey was just like hanging out with me and my partner on Zoom playing Jackbox games for like a while, and it was so fun. And they're just such a good person. And I was like, it was sad for me because I was like, I love Crispy, I love Mikey, and I'm just sitting here in the middle watching these two go at each other like, oh, can't we all just get along? I fully was like, okay, we just got to jury. Maybe I can get Crispy and Mikey to like work together. And then Michael came back and was like, nope, I'm taking out Mikey. And I was like, never mind.
I think the big thing that hurt Mikey's game, which is so crazy to say, was the fact that he was inactive at the very, very beginning of the game. Yeah. Because that's the reason why Christian put him up. He was the one nominee nobody was surprised to see up there because he just wasn't able to talk to anyone. And once that happened, and then I nominated him, and then Crispy nominated him, and then Crispy nominated him again, like the ball was just rolling for him to either be a Pawn Star or to go out of the game. And he was winning too many competitions for him to be a Pawn Star.
Which is also unfortunate because, like, realistically, if they hadn't been on the block as many times as they were, they wouldn't have won that many vetoes or even competed in that many vetoes, probably.
Exactly.
But yeah, like if I had been competing in a lot of those vetoes, I probably could have won them too. I just didn't compete.
That's true. Production, you better fucking bring Mikey back for All Stars. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Mikey for All Stars.
Yeah.
3,000 billion%.
Also campaign for Mikey and I to have rivalry of the season. But Mikey's one of the people that I'm actually like really excited to get to talk to. Well, I'm excited to talk to everybody, but I feel like I'm particularly jazzed to be able to talk to Mikey without this like underlying thing of we're both going for each other's throats. So it was fun though. Like I've never had an experience like that in an org where like I was so blatantly going after like one person and then they were doing it right back to me. It was just a really funny story for pre-jury.
It was great for the rest of us. We just watched you guys ping pong back and forth for like 4 rounds while we sat safely by.
Yeah, you're fucking awesome.
Thank you.
I'll actually say it wasn't the greatest thing because people were getting backdoored like every single week because you guys kept winning each other's vetoes. So like it wasn't the greatest thing to watch.
Okay, but the thing about that though is that it did clear out a lot of the people who were playing the middle because there was so much focus on like y'all and Lake and Jill for so long that nobody else was getting nominated and everyone was just skating by without like people could throw comps because they didn't have to worry as long as like 3 people won. The same people would get nominated every week, and then they would keep winning vetoes and then keep taking themselves off, and somebody else would get nominated, and it probably wouldn't be them because it wasn't them. Not anyway.
Jeremy, don't say that it took out the people in the middle when we know most of the jury were the bitches playing the middle.
Okay, but most of the people in the game were playing the middle. Jason was in the middle. Casey was in the middle. Michael was kind of in the middle until he came back. Then he like kind of picked the side for a bit.
No, that's true.
Love you, Mikey.
Yeah, love you, Mikey. I'm making pizza also, by the way.
Okay, next up we have river. I mean, pond. I mean, lake.
I was like, who the fuck is River?
Oh, I get it.
I'm gonna steal this one and go first.
Please.
I love Lake on a personal level so fucking much. But on a game level, dear Jesus, I could not work with him. I was trying so hard to help him, and every round it was just continuously him getting nominated because people wanted to have the option that had the least blood on their hands, which I totally get. But like, it was just so like constantly trying to be like, you'll be okay. We've got the votes to save you. Maybe you'll win veto. You got this. Constantly. And I loved getting on call with them because they're fun. Like, he's fun to talk to and hang out with. And like, we would get high together on call and just like vibe. And like, he's good friends with my partner. So like, we talk about that or whatever. I don't know. Like, I love Lake from a personal standpoint, but from a game standpoint, he was not helping my game any at that point. And like, in terms of game potential, I felt like Eric was a stronger ally to keep at that point than Lake.
Really?
I mean, like, proven by the fact that you saved my life essentially at Final Four. So like, yeah, I love Lake, but I will definitely have to apologize to him for not telling him that I was voting him out before he left. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I think Lake knew.
Lake was messaging me like 20 minutes before the vote, being like, I think I have the votes. Oh my God, I'm gonna stay. I should act really sad like I'm going. And I was like, oh no, baby, sweetheart, you don't. I'm pretty sure this vote is almost unanimous. My loving Lake darling.
Yeah, he was like basically on his way out the door, he's like, congrats, I know I don't have the votes, like it is what it is. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. He had like the opposite problem of Mikey, where Mikey was like a target because he was a competition threat and everything, so that's why he was being nominated. Lake was actually the Pawn Star. He was the one that was on the block every single week, and he was next to these crazy people like Casey and Joe and all these people.
Yeah.
So like,
because he was less active than those people, no brainer.
Yeah. So it, and then like everything that I heard that he was doing the week that he was evicted probably also helped push things a little bit.
Like, it was like love him, but it was very Jake 2.0. Very spirally.
Especially when I heard from multiple sources that John was after me that week. So that definitely helped me. I love you, Lake, though. On a personal level, I do also love Lake. I love him and Lexi. Definitely, like, the level of comfort that I had with Casey was pretty similar with Lake, I feel. But I feel like we bonded more just because he was in the game longer. So yeah, I love
And
Lake.
like, despite Lake being nominated so many times, I do feel like Lake had a lot of people protecting him for a long time. Like, he had a lot of social connections despite being inactive.
He did.
And he was protected for most of those votes up until he faced you.
Mm.
Looks at Crispy.
I hope to learn to love Lake. We had a very tumultuous relationship this game, and I am really struggling to, besides nominating him, I'm really struggling to find what I did to make him want to destroy my game so badly. And
did nominate him twice.
No, I'm like, besides that, like,
oh, gotcha.
Yeah. I can fully understand his frustration of me nominating him twice, but we only called once, and that was after I nominated him the first time. And after I nominated him the first time, when I won HOH, the round that I nominated him the second time, he legitimately told me that he thinks that I am impossible to work with. So why else wouldn't I put you up? And I don't want to say it on the stream just because like it feels like it's a little personal, like but he did say some like things like about me to me that really rubbed me the wrong way, and I felt like it was a little too far, which was a shame because like I never like want to feel that way that he made me feel in that moment ever again. It really sucked. And it was just a really shitty feeling. So I think we'll chat. But it's gonna take me some time to really like kind of get over it, just because it felt like it was too much and it was too dirty. All for the sake of a Big Brother online game that doesn't really actually mean anything in like the grand scheme of life. So yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have Miss Jen.
This was the start of jurors like literally just not talking to me before they left. Like that girl, like I tried so many different times between me being on the block and her going home to call with her. And every single time, I think I probably told both of you this already, but every single time she would tell me that, like the next morning, like, hey, sorry, just woke up, didn't see this. Like, we should definitely call today. And then we just didn't. And then like, I didn't even like, she never told me whether she voted me out at Final 10. I'm sure she did. I didn't tell her like it. Like I would love to say on a personal level too that I love her, but I feel like most of the conversations we had on call felt fake for me. So I really like. I don't know. I don't know how I felt with Jen in the game.
I feel kind like I never necessarily got the sense that like our calls were fake, but we literally had like 2 calls. And like we chatted, but by the time we got to like jury, she was messaging me like maybe once a week or once every like 4 days or something.
Once around.
which is fine, but like that doesn't really, and it was never anything like substantial game wise either. It would just be like some fluffy, like, good morning, how's your day going? How are you feeling today? What's in the plans for the day? Kind of stuff. And then the conversation would just kind of end. But I mean, we bonded over diamond paintings, and I hope she'll send me pictures of those in the future. And I'd like to chat with her more outside of the game. But I didn't know enough where her mind stood on anybody to keep her.
Yeah, Jen was the biggest question mark for me in the game. I on a personal level, I really enjoyed talking with her. Like I feel like our one-on-one chats like almost never strategy. Girl has got some great music taste. I will tell you that, because anytime anyone says that one of their favorite bands is Paramore, which is my all-time favorite band, I'm like, I like you. So we talked a lot about that and bonded over like similar tastes in music. And like she actually really reminds me of people that I hang out with like in my regular life. So I look forward to hopefully chatting with her.
Your sound like cut out for me, Crispy.
Yeah, your sound cut off completely.
Hello?
Okay, now it's back.
Oh my god. What? I was rambling. It's fine.
It's the cutoff music at the Oscars.
Yeah, right. They're like, Chris, shut the fuck up. No, but I basically, Jen, I just really want to go to a Paramore concert with you when they start touring again. So let's make it happen.
She told me she'd go to Disney with me, and I will take her up on that at some point.
Disney 1984 meetup?
Period.
Okay. Next up, we have John.
I love Buckley.
I adore that man so fucking much. And yeah, that man is, and I mean this with the most like, I mean this as like the biggest compliment in the world, because I love absurd people. That man is absurd. Like, he is so absurd. And I like we have a mutual like BFF and Zoe, and so like I would text her things that Buckley would say to me during calls, and it was just like we would just laugh at him just being so ridiculous. And he was someone I was just so excited to play with, because he had hosted me when I attempted to play CTC.
Not the attempt.
No, it was an attempt. But he wanted to like crush this game so bad, and I could tell that he was just so invested, and I could tell that he was having so much fun playing the game. So like hurting. Well, yeah, I guess kind of hurting, but voting him out when he went out sucked, because I know how badly he wanted to be here. But you know, there were just some things that didn't really sit well with me on a game level. So I felt like the SS Buckley was going down, and I needed to not be on board. So, but hysterical. Yeah. So he's just crazy. I love him.
I honestly, like, at the time, I thought John going was like completely going to ruin my game. I'm not gonna lie. But I don't think it ended up being a bad thing necessarily for my game either. I love John. I only had a couple personal calls with John, but I was on a lot of like alliance-y calls with John, or on the Zooms with John. And he's just, in the best way possible, so stupid. And it's so good.
Yeah.
We talked literally, like, most of our chat was just talking about Drag Race UK versus the world, Survivor, Australian Survivor, and then game sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely had mixed feelings when he went, but I don't think it was the worst thing either. I don't know. We're here, so it worked out for us.
Yeah, he's another one of those people that just all like I knew that whenever I was on a call with him, I'd be laughing. Like there was Jeremy, I don't know if you were on that call, but it was me, Buckley, Jason, and Casey. And he like we weren't like really talking too much game. We were just like kind of vibing and hanging out. And then all of a sudden he just started like rocking out to God Is a Woman. Like belting.
Oh, I was there.
Okay, I couldn't remember if you were or not, but like just like belting it, and I'm just like, I need to document this. But one thing about Buckley that like that I've never, well, not never, like seldomly have experienced with somebody in an org that I do think like should be noted is that like he is so like fiercely loyal. Like as soon as I like kind of opened up to him about like the stuff that was going on between Lake and I've never had somebody like go to bat for me quite like that, and I never asked him to. But the fact that he was like willing to just like disregard like game shit and like defend me as a person made me feel really good. So I thank him very, very much for that, because that was really something special for me. But yeah, I love Buckley very much. I cannot wait to talk to him again after.
I had a very different experience with John Buckley. The words you guys use to describe him, I would also use, but probably in a more negative context, like absurd, stupid, etc.
Oh,
I don't know, like
it
everything
came that way.
everything good that happened to everybody else with John Buckley in the game, like, was whipped at me badly. Or like in a bad manner. I feel like from even the beginning of the game, I never really connected with him. Everybody was saying like, oh my God, I love going on calls with John Buckley. He's so funny. I went on my first call with him and I was like, it was when I was HOH, actually. That was the first time I went on call with him. And he immediately was like, we need to make an alliance. And I was like, okay. And then when he nominated me, he legitimately told me to my face, look, I'm nominating you to make it look like we're not together, but we're a final two. And I was like, I literally, like, the mental gymnastics I have to do to get to that conclusion is too much. I did not appreciate it. I felt like most of the time, actually, Andrew can probably relate to me on this as well. I felt like most of the time I talked with him, it was kind of condescending. He was talking down to me, especially because I'm younger than him. And I don't know, like, I don't know. I never connected well with Buckley. I never got a good vibe from him. But maybe that was just me not being connected to him before this game. I don't know. I
wasn't either. I didn't know him before this game.
Okay, it was just me then.
Like
I do get a sort of sense from Buckley that you're either like with him or against him. And I know from talking to him a lot that he saw you as the biggest threat in the game, like from day one, and wanted to make like a big move for his resume because he's never done well in a Big Brother game. And he was like, I made it this far, so I'm going to come out swinging because when am I going to win an HOH again?
Yeah. He kind of said that like on a call.
I knew it was shooting himself in the foot, but I was like, I'm going to let him implode because him imploding means somebody else will be going before I do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do get kind of a sense that he's very like, if you're not with me, then like meh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It looked like my audio was not working. I do hope that like when this is done, you and Buckley, Eric can chat because I didn't know him like super duper well, again because like I didn't do so hot in CTC, but I think maybe I was just like lucky in the sense that like he knew that I'm really good with Zoe, so he wanted to like work with me in that sense because it's like because Zoe and I are like this, but I think like just I really hope you guys are able to kind of like put things aside and like smooth things over because I do really think that he's a good person, and I think you would get a kick out of him, and have all those feelings that like Jeremy and I were talking about, but in a positive way.
I would love to. I would love to get to know John outside of the game where he's not considering me the biggest threat to his game for whatever reason. So, no.
I just remember like being on call, like me, Jeremy, and Buckley, and after Buckley won that HOH and he told us that he wanted to make a big move and take Eric out. As soon as he left, Jeremy and I were like, no.
I don't want to vote out Eric.
Yeah, we're like, no.
Like, he got off the call and it was just me and Crispy looking at each other. We went, I don't want to vote out Eric.
We're like, okay, so we just won't. And now look at this.
Now look at us.
World. That's the thing is like, I got included into a lot of alliances, but the like people that I wanted to work with the most, I feel like ended up getting together by the time we got to the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like you two are the people I definitely felt the closest to personally and game wise throughout the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Samesies.
Okay. So next up we have Michael.
Eric, we got some splaining to do.
I was the innocent bystander that was on the block and got saved.
That's true. It's interesting because like Michael and I like one-on-one did not chat a whole heck of a lot, but he always kept telling me that he had my back.
Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, I don't really understand like why he like kept saying that he had my back when, especially like, you know, I voted him out initially, but I didn't really expect him to be so like retribution is on its way when he got voted out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but like he does seem like somebody that I on paper would get along with really, really well, like personally, just because like he's a board game nerd. We've played Super Smash Brothers together, like Mario Party, Mario Kart. Like, we love video games.
I really missed out on the Smash Bros group, huh?
Well, to be fair, the Smash Bros group was just me, Jackson, and Michael. And it wasn't really even an alliance. It was just like, we all like to play Smash. So but Michael's definitely one of if I'm in the final two, one of the jury people I would be very nervous about. Because I was in a couple alliances with Michael and did him very dirty. But at the end of the day, it was to save someone I felt closer with. So
Swirls.
Very similarly, I am scared of Michael. Like I said with Jen, like after her, I feel like the next four jurors all, like, I left the game. Maybe throughout the whole game we had an okay relationship, but the way he left, I feel like wasn't the best. Because I did tell him a few different times that he 100% had my vote. Even though I was never giving it to him. And so I don't know. And it felt really, I feel like when he was like retribution, blah, 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 I thought it was aimed at me. I don't know who all it was aimed at this point, but I thought it was aimed at me because not too long before he got evicted, we were actually on call like earlier that day, and he was telling me how badly he wanted Rose out, and how she was like his number one target and all this stuff. And you know, if the retribution was Rose nominating me the next time she won HOH and almost sending me home, it is what it is.
It worked.
But no, very, very similarly, I needed to keep somebody else in the game, so it's what it is, Michael. I'm sorry.
He twirls. So I don't even know where to start with Michael. So I played a game not that long ago, Conflict Season 3, which was, I believe, Michael's first long-term org, ? Pretty sure. So I also knew that this was his first like Big Brother game. And he was somebody that I like always kind of wanted to work with in the game, but he was just aligned with all of the people that I was targeting, and I was aligned with all the people he was targeting, and I was in the minority, so I was losing all my allies. So we just like never really worked together. And then I forced the tie at Final Four and sent him to fire, and he lost. And that's like the only reason that he didn't win the game, I'm pretty sure. Because I think that if he was in the end, he probably would have had a very strong case to win.
The way I thought you were talking about this game still, I'm like, fire? When did that happen?
So like when I came into this game, I was like, okay, like maybe this is a chance to work with Michael. We talked a little bit at the beginning. I told him I would keep him safe during my HOH, and then he was on the block, and it was the live night. I don't even, who was he up against that round? I should know this.
He was up against the live night. Rose.
Right. I don't remember why we ended up deciding to keep Rose over Michael, because he was more in the middle, maybe. Anyway,
I think it was because Michael was Mikey's target, and everybody was like, "Okay, HOH, we'll do what you want. It's a triple. We weren't expecting this."
Yeah.
But then when he came back, I was like, okay. And then it came down to me and him in the competition, and I said, okay, I feel like he's probably going to keep me safe if he wins. So, whoop, and definitely gave him that HOH. I mean, I'm not saying that I could have outlasted him by any stretch of the imagination. I could have dropped at any second, but
He was solid.
I
He was
dropped.
solid.
I could have been solid too. I was just wobbling for the acting of it all.
It was like you were on rollerblades, like.
If I'm gonna throw a competition, I want to make it convincing, Mama. Um, anyway, so, but like I knew that he would probably keep me safe at the very least to return the favor for the first round, as long as he didn't find out that I voted him out. I don't know that he ever knew that I voted him out the first time. Because he did message me within like 30 minutes of winning, being like, "You're safe, by the way. I don't have much time to call because I'm going to Ireland, but you're good." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, thanks." But then it was me and him on the block, and I was like, "Well, I would rather see either Andrew or Jackson go this round, but if it's you or me, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna do literally everything in my power to make sure that it's not me."
Mhm.
And thankfully I did, and that's why I'm sitting here. But love you, Michael. I I hope that you can eventually pull out a win. You've gotten, what did you get? Second, fourth, and seventh. He's gotten, so like he's doing well in every game. So I see a win coming for him soon, I feel.
Yeah, that round was just so the round he went out, was just so frustrating. Like, I wanted.
If Jackson had gone up, it would have been so easy for me to convince Michael to vote Jackson out over me, and then us three plus Michael could have been a strong 4 against Rose and Andrew, and like cut him at 4.
Yeah.
Or even
I-
cut him at 5 and cut Rose at 4, or some variation.
Well, we did cut Rose at 4.
Yeah.
But I think that as much as I would have loved for Jackson to go when Michael did, I actually think like if we like wanted us 3 to be the final 3, it worked out better for Michael to have gone then, because like he could have gone on a comp streak still.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay. Next up, we have Andrew.
um Andrew's an interesting character. He like, again, like I don't know. I don't know if he did this with everyone, but like I feel like he was so interested in actually like getting to know me as a person outside of like the game. Like I would just like wake up to just like random questions of his, like being like, top 5 favorite vegetables, go. I don't know, like just, and I appreciate that. Like I like when people try to get to know me and not just
Play the game with me.
play the game with me. You know what I mean? We did not end on the best of terms, obviously. He didn't talk to me since Michael got voted out. And obviously, then I nominated him, and then got a few passive aggressive gifts as like his reaction to me nominating him. But I think it's really impressive that he was able to not be nominated for as long as he did without being nominated. I think that's impressive. Like, you don't do that on a fluke. So whatever he was doing something right.
Mhm.
So I applaud him for that. And again, he's somebody that if I'm in the final two, I would be nervous to face. But it's part of the game, and like I think that if the roles were reversed, he would have done the same thing to me. And I think that he just got frustrated that his plans failed and mine worked. So, well.
Yeah, it was very similar with me. Like, sorry, let me finish the butter pizza. It's literally my last bite.
Sloppy bitch.
Girl, go sit on a fucking cactus. Anyway, it was very similar with me. Like, it was always like personal messages. He'd open up our messages in the morning with like, so have you finished your paper yet? Which, for the record, today is March 22nd when this is recording. I started thinking about my paper today. I looked at the questions and chose which question I'm going to do, and I listened to the material for it. I did not write anything down. That is what I have to say to you, Andrew. But yeah, we had a lot of like personal conversations. Like, he was really interested in hearing about like what I wanted to do after I graduate from my like undergrad in psychology, and hearing about like different kinds of therapies, and talking about like how the mental health world has transformed, and like talking about our own struggles with mental health. And it was a lot of that and not really a whole lot of anything game at all ever. So he was, besides Jen, he was probably one of the biggest like question marks for me all the time, until I started telling everybody that I was targeting him and Jackson. Then I obviously knew he was coming after me. So I was like, but yeah, he was messaging me like the day that he went out, and I told him that I was going to be voting him out, and he told me that he respected it. But then when he was leaving, he said he wished good luck to the people that he was rooting for, whatever he said. And he did not tell me good luck. So I don't know whether to expect him to be angry or to be understanding, but I guess we'll find out if I make it to final two.
I feel bad because I'm getting tired. So I'm like getting sleepy. But with Andrew, very similarly, it was nice to have someone there who wanted to connect on a personal level more often. Like, he actually sent me an invite to the Washington, D.C. like actual Survivor meetup or something. I'm sure he sent it to you, Jeremy. But I was like, oh, that's cool and everything. We also bonded over how we didn't like John Buckley. Yeah, by the end of the game, especially kind of like what Crispy was saying, after the Michael vote, our game relationship was like completely severed. And there really wasn't any saving it at that point. So we didn't really talk, especially after he got nominated. We just like didn't talk anymore. And I feel bad for that, because I know the way that he went out is probably not the way that he wanted it to be. I think, especially with like his reaction, because he told me that he didn't want to be the angry black man of the season or anything like that. And I don't think, Andrew, if you watch this, I don't think you were. and I still don't think you are. I think throughout the season you were a pleasant person to be around, genuinely. And pleasant seems like such a stale word, but if I were to describe you in one word, it would be pleasant, because you were, especially on a personal level. So I really enjoyed having Andrew in the game, even if in the game we weren't really on the same side all the time, especially near the end. So yeah, I like Andrew.
I think something that we've all said about him, and he said to me actually, like the day that he got evicted, was that it was nice to have somebody to come to where, like, yes, we were playing a game together, but we didn't necessarily have to think about the game. We could just like talk about our lives and like get to know each other as people. And so even if like I was targeting him or he was targeting me or we were on opposite sides or whatever, it was nice to have like an open inbox to just pop in and like talk about our lives or whatever we want. And I feel like that's a very apt description of what Andrew was like to play with. Like he just loved to pop in and talk personal, get to know you, and hang out. And that was it. He didn't give a shit about anything else.
Yeah. Another thing that I've always really appreciated him is like, you know, I had a lot of really high highs in this game and a lot of really low lows. And he was always consistently one of the few people to like check on me during like the low lows. And Andrew, like I do very much appreciate that. And kind of to echo what Eric was saying, like I really hope that you don't consider yourself to be like the angry black man of the season, because like that's not how I see you. And I do wish that I handled him leaving a little differently. That is a regret that I have in the game, because we did have a good relationship, like for, you know, until Final 7. So I think I did him unnecessarily dirty there, but yeah, I mean he played the game like very passionately, and I knew he was very like it makes me sad that, like, you know, people who look like Andrew are just at such a significant disadvantage in orgs, and that makes me very sad. And I hope that like I didn't do anything to like make him like feel a certain way, because obviously that's never okay, and that's never something that I never want to make people feel a certain way. So Andrew, if you watch this, I would love to be able to chat with you and just smooth things over.
Exactly. I have him added on Snapchat and we haven't talked yet, but Andrew, if you see this, Snapchat me immediately and we can talk.
Okay. Next up, we have Jackson Lamar.
My enemy.
And mine, apparently, out of nowhere.
Jackson was one of the other people besides Jason that like got on a call with me very quickly when this game started, and I immediately knew, because of a lot of things that I've learned in psychology, I noticed things specifically that Jackson was doing that like are things that are like inherently and psychologically made to make you feel more comfortable. Like he starts every chat conversation by using your name. He doesn't just say, hey, or how's your morning going, or how's your day going? It's always, hey, Jeremy, how's your day going? And it's such a small thing, but every time he did it, or every time we got on call, he would do the same thing. He made a point of, hey, Jeremy, how's your day going? Or, hey, Miss Gemma Pell, as soon as he learned my drag name. How's your how's your day been going or something. And he was so smart in the way that he phrased things and did things, and I love him to death as a person, but to me it came across as very calculated from a game perspective. So I would love to have a conversation with him outside of the game and hopefully not necessarily feel that way about our interactions. But because I was seeing so many aspects of it all the time from him, I was like, is it intentional, or are you just like this kind of person? Because it very well could be intentional.
I don't think it is intentional. I think that's just Jackson being a very kind and warm human. I think like it's funny that you point that out, because like now that I'm thinking about it in all of our conversations, yes, he did say like, "Hi, Crispy, like how are you?" But I don't know, there's just a part of me, I don't think like he made that as a calculated decision to be like, I'm going to use their name every single time and they're going to be super comfortable with me. And I'd like it, I could see like the correlation and
like don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Jackson is like a master manipulator who's like a dick and is like fake as fuck to try to like fuck with, like that's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah,
there was so many things that I was like, I don't, in a Big Brother game, I don't know how much I can trust it, so I want to have a conversation and see like that he is actually just that person outside of the game, so then I can be like, okay, this is Jackson Lamar.
Fair. And yeah, and I think that is Jackson. Yeah, he's somebody that I'm very excited to like have an eventual meetup. And like as I told him that I was voting him out, like we talked about like, oh, okay, so like we're still gonna like meet up with each other and hang out once the game is over, right? By the way, this is why you should keep me. By the way, no, I'm not keeping you. So when's that meetup? Like that's just like how we could seamlessly like weave in and out of like talking about life to talking about game, and like we were never on the same page with votes and stuff. I really don't think we were. And I just think it's a big testament to Jackson's like character that he's able to like put like that stuff aside and like still like seek us out to like be friends, you know what I mean? He's such a great person. And made me sad voting him out, but like it was either, and it was funny, his pitch to me when he was saying like why I should keep him instead of Eric, and he goes like, for all I know, you and Eric are probably super tight, so this is just a waste of my time. And I'm like, oh, honey. But so that did make me feel a little like,
yeah, so technically speaking, I did not lie about this, but it is like so close that I might as well have been lying because it was in the works beforehand anyway. But when I convinced him to keep me, I told him that we were not a trio, that I felt I had a close relationship with Eric personally, and I had a close relationship with Crispy personally, which is true. And technically there was no trio between us yet, but literally right before that, Crispy had just said to me, if you stay, we should form a trio with you, me, and Eric, because we're obviously on the same side here. So, like, I knew that it was coming, and so, sort of, in a way, it was a little bit of a lie to say that we weren't a trio, but, like, technically speaking, we weren't yet. So I'm sorry, Jackson, for lying to you. But that is why it was smarter for me to use the veto at 5, which you didn't think that it was. He was like, you're never going to win against Eric. And I was like, but Eric's my only chance of getting to the final 3. If I take you to the final 4, then both you and Rose are voting me out if you're the person choosing to vote, which means if Crispy wins HOH, I'm fucked unless I win veto. So there was no world in which it made sense for me to keep him that round. but because I made him think that I didn't really have anybody, and I also made him think that I was targeting you, Eric.
You did do that.
I did. I told him because the deal that I made him was that he would be completely safe as like an initial nom or a renom at final six, which chances are I probably would have held to if I won. Because like I don't know, I don't think the veto would have gotten used. Maybe I don't know. It doesn't matter. I didn't win. But like he after we made that part of the deal, then he tried to add on that my initial noms needed to be Andrew and Andrew and Eric instead of Andrew and Rose, and then backdoor Eric. And I was like, yeah, I guess maybe I could do that. And I was never going to do that.
Maybe.
That was never gonna happen. But yeah, I said what I needed to say, and it made sure that I stayed, and then I knew that it was only a matter of time before he swung at me, so I swung first. And I apologized to him for that. And if it loses me his vote, it loses me a vote. But I don't think that I would be sitting in the final three if I didn't take him out. So I respect Jackson so much. I saw him as a huge social threat, and that he was protected, and that he was throwing competitions all season by the looks of things to me. And like playing a really, really strong game. So he needed to go because I think he was like an under the radar threat to win if he got to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because I had been targeting him for so long. So if he got to the end after me targeting him for like 10 rounds, he could be like, I survived being targeted for 10 rounds. Woo!
Yeah, he'd be like saying it like that, like he's on a
brisk walk. That's exactly on the treadmill right next to Julia while she's like holding a carrot in front of his head. She motivates him in competitions, right?
One other thing like that on the call that I had with Jackson when he was pitching to stay over Eric, I couldn't make out word for word, but I could hear a Miss Julia Rowe in the background being like, and say that, Eric, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I can hear you, Julia.
Please don't tell me that Julia Rowe is the reason why Jackson was targeting me. Like,
that is not what I'm saying. I think that she was just like trying to help him like convince me to keep him, and I was just like, this is not fair.
Okay, but that's the advantage of having an worker as a partner.
I know, I get it, but it was just like, no, I'm not falling for this.
Crispy, my love, your video has frozen.
Your sound is good, but your video is frozen now.
Well, for me, it looks like you two are frozen.
Now you're back.
Now you're back.
Okay, but we're still frozen for me. Fuck it, move on.
Okay.
Wait, Eric, did you talk about Jackson?
No, I didn't.
Okay. We're going to move on to Eric talking about Jackson.
I was like, me and Crispy have gone back and forth for a while, but you haven't said anything, so go.
No. I legitimately don't know why he was targeting me. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that spawned from. To me, it came out of nowhere. I went on call with him. When was it? It was final six when we were both safe and off the block, and it was Andrew and Rose on the block. And I was like, hey, vote, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, are you coming after me? And he was like, yeah, because you're coming after me. And I was like, okay. Like, I literally, like, I've never had such an odd confrontation when, like, I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But I also kind of get it because for, like, base, I feel like when Lake left, was the moment that Jackson and I's relationship started to drift. I'm not sure why that was. I don't know if he really thought Lake was going to stay and then I did. So maybe that's why he was targeting me, because he wasn't expecting it. Okay. Jeremy's nodding their head, so I'll assume that's the reason.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be me, Jackson, and Jen, and I think the fourth was supposed to be you. And they at first thought that just you flipped, but then they, I think, realized that both of us flipped afterwards.
LOL.
I also want to point out the literally the random night where Jackson goes, do you guys want to do a Kahoot quiz about me and my life?
I screamed, and then everybody made Kahoots about their own fucking lives, and I was like, why is everyone doing this? What is going on here?
But he got us all to make our own quiz and to play. Like,
I swear to God, if his fucking jury question is like, what was my blah 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 from Kahoot? I'll be like, no. The door is there.
do it.
No, that was just a really fun night. Not even Prod was on for that, so they missed out. But
They did.
Who?
Yeah.
Funny to them. Prod.
Oh,
They
yeah.
missed out.
I have to say, I never knew about any Kahoots, but now we will move on to our final juror, Miss Rose.
Queen.
No. Fuck you, Eric, for making me do that.
Bitch, for making you do what?
You know what? Like,
Would you rather have sat on the block and me vote her out?
Kinda.
Then why didn't you say that? I would have happily voted her out.
No,
Miss Rose, I love you, but with peace and love, I needed to take you out.
No, but like, I'm a very sensitive person, in case y'all couldn't tell, and I'm like, I knew it needed to be done, but it doesn't mean it was easy. Like, it's allowed to be hard, even though I know it's necessary.
Oh yeah.
But like, don't get me wrong, this is the final three that I wanted. Like, for many rounds, this is the
But
final.
like, we had the power to you not have to be sensitive and vote her. Like, I literally could have just done it.
No, but
Literally.
here's the thing though. I'm like, I say fuck you, Eric, as partially kidding, but I need to. It's like I needed to be like have a moment where I was like super like strong in my conviction about what I wanted to do. So I am glad that I had that moment. If I really felt uncomfortable, I would have asked Eric to not make me do it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I didn't. Anyway, I digress. Rose is, I think, out of everyone that played the game, like just like handled every like thing that was like thrown at the cast like with just such grace and dignity, and
made everything fun.
yes,
Always.
yes,
Like, even when we were going into a fucking triple eviction, she was like making people laugh by turning it into a joke in some way.
yes. Like I just find her as a human to be very inspiring. Like, just hearing about her life and like her just things that she's gone through and stuff, like I just find it very inspiring, and I have a tremendous amount of love and respect for Rose, and I think like I don't know. I do think there's a part of me that does think she like deserved to be in the finals, but like I feel like all of us would have been destroyed if Rose was sitting at the final. She's she's so unassuming and so sweet and charming, and just like every possible like positive adjective I could give to a person, I would give to Rose. Like, I can't say enough good things about her. And you know, we had our moment where like we got into a tiff, and obviously because she was upset that I put her up as a renom without giving her a heads up, but and which was warranted. But I don't know. I'm impressed that she was able to like vent her frustration, but like know that it's a game and that everything's gonna be okay once it's all done, you know? But yeah, Rose, you're just a lovely, lovely, lovely human. And I am so thankful that you stuck it out in the game. I think I can safely say, like, on behalf of like all three of us, that we're all very lucky that we got to play with Rose. So
For sure. As Rose is talking during her eviction, I could tell both me and Crispy were starting to tear up. Crispy, I think you might be frozen again. And even just Crispy talking about Rose has made me start tearing up again. Not only just because of what she was saying, but even in her like last moments, where you two were both in the breakout room, and I was sitting with her, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what Crispy's gonna do. Like, even though I did, like, I was like, I don't know what he's gonna do and everything. And she like immediately kind of brought the conversation away from the game, and we did like, it's so rare that I feel like I get to have like a purely genuine conversation with someone. And that conversation felt like the best one that I had the entire game. I don't know if she felt the same way, but like, and I also don't want to say this about her because of her age, but particularly for me, she felt a little bit like a mother figure for me in this game. So having her there to talk to at points in the game felt really just nice for me. Especially being someone, I'm second youngest in the cast and she is the oldest in the cast. So I felt like there were points where I was like, I feel like I'm not like cut out for any of this. I feel like I'm just not experienced enough to do any of this. And I never really expressed it to her, but like she kind of was the reason why I felt like I could a lot of the time. Because she is just like this like really unassuming, charming, nice person, but she was also playing the game really, really well. So yeah, I absolutely love and adore Rose. I don't know how she feels about me at this moment, but I really hope that I can stay in touch with her. And Rose, if you're watching this, I would love to watch or play one of your like D&D groups, because I have been looking for that for so fucking long. But yeah, no, I can't say better words about her. She's an amazing person.
Literally. It's very rare to come across like genuine good people, even in the org world, as great as it is. Like, she is, I don't even have words. Like literally our relationship started by bonding over talking about like me wanting to do tabletop, and her being like, oh, when I played Instinct, like I got some people into some of my games after the season ended, so like I'll totally get you into some of mine once the season's over and you can like start playing, because I've always wanted to play D&D but never got invited to play or never got invited to join or watch or anything. And I'm just like, we literally spent like a week and a half, 2 weeks just sending like her first message in the morning to me when she woke up, which was around like 2 p.m. my time, was talking about how much of an asshole Putin is. Or like Putin puts the I don't know. She said literally she sent me a butt plug of Putin's head. Like we just like it was so she was so genuinely kind, but also funny, and also like warming and caring, and like did not take a single moment of the game personally. From what I like, she was always one of those people that was very like, I hope they don't take it personally, because like it's just a game and we're all just here to play and we all have to do what's best for our game. And like when she put me up, she was like, if you stay, I'll understand if you're coming after me. And then like she came to me afterwards when she won at 5, and she sent me a picture of like an olive branch, and she was like, I come bearing an olive branch. I will not be nominating you this round. And I was like, Rose, I love you so fucking much. Like,
she she would
she's so
always
good.
she would always send me a poem when she was
Your sound cut out again, Crispy. Crispy. Oh no, you're frozen too. Great. We're doing great. Crispy, you were frozen and muted like the entire time.
God damn it! Where did I cut out?
Did he say
Pretty much
anything?
right at the beginning.
Yeah, like
Oh,
you
okay.
started talking.
Oh my god, I don't know what the fuck is going on with this internet, but no, she whenever she was on the block, she would send me a poem about like why I should vote to keep her, and just like they were just so like cute and funny, like roses are red, violets are blue, vote to keep me because I like wine or something like that. I'm like, I also like wine. I'll vote
when she was sending the Rose keep Rose pictures in the main chat, I was skrelting. I was like, this woman is fully staying and is campaigning so hard, and it's so good.
I know. Like,
and just hearing the way she talks about wifey too, I'm just like,
Ramad is my
and
king.
her dogs.
And her kitties.
One dog.
Yeah, dog, cat,
Cats.
pets, her pets.
Ramad and Ember. They're so cute.
Okay, that is all we have. That is all of the fallen house guests.
What do you mean? I can't talk shit about these two?
But we'll have plenty of time for that on Friday at the reunion. So we have just a few more days left in this game. This has been a very fun season. I've enjoyed it a lot. The three of you will be fighting to become the winner on Friday. We still have part 2 and part 3, jury questioning, all that stuff to go, but we're almost done. As I said, this is a great season, great cast. I really enjoyed it all. So I'm excited to see how it finishes up. So thank you guys for coming here and looking back on the season.
Can I just reiterate that this is a really good cast? Like, there was not a single moment of this game that wasn't difficult, because this cast was fire from top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it was a good season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Minus maybe one.
I'm going to
We don't talk